Well, we are near a little place called Mangersta, which I think is, you know, about 4 houses. And our Airbnb is down there. This is pretty amazing country up here. Just seeing if I can find a slightly sheltered spot and have some lunch here. If not, I can go for an unsheltered spot like that. It's splendid views all around. This looks like a good spot for lunch. Which way's the wind? Yes, so I hope if I pitch the roof while facing this way, it won't be too blowy. We'll give it a go. Well, I've been sitting here having lunch in the van, and a basic lunch, but still a fine one, with some venison pate I purchased in Loch Ness, or by Loch Ness, and you know, sometimes I get, you know, you get disheartened with life in a small, cramped space. But occasionally I do wonder at the fact, you know, I'm sitting here, I have a table, I have a fridge, I have a cooker if I wanted it. I didn't heat anything up because I didn't want to put the roof up for reasons which will become obvious in a minute. And but I've had the heater on, and I've been sitting here in a nice comfy chair having lunch while looking out at some amazing scenery out at the front. Well, it's a cliff edge, and the waves that are coming off the Atlantic are breaking on it and sometimes spurting way up, must be 100 feet high. It is, however, very windy out there, and even though I'm facing into the wind, you know, when I popped the top up, I thought, nah, this is a little bit too blustery here. So I put it back down again, which is partly why I didn't use the stove to heat anything up. Because it's a bit, you're not meant to do that really when you're in this confined space. So I'm just going to pack up some of this, and then we'll go and have a look outside before the sun goes down, and explore some of the local scenery. Well, actually, let me take you right outside now. And you can just get a feel for it. You might not be able to hear me when we get out there, but you'll be able to see where we are. Okay, girl, you can go. There are some big clouds. I'm not going to stand out here for long without my coat. There's a big radio antenna above me. We're at Mangersta here. And down there, you'll see a big wave breaking, but occasionally they do some very dramatic ones. But my plan is to drive a little way back there and then walk over the top here a bit, to the top of the cliffs, and we'll see when we get blown off. Actually, cross the shore here, so we could get blown off. Risk. This is quite fun. Let's just have a look at this. You know, I had planned to walk over the tops to the cliffs behind us. But only got about half an hour more of daylight probably, or at least before sunset, and and I do, sorry about my squeaky boots here, I do want to go and see another little point down further up the coast this way. It's also very cold and windy out there, so I thought we might drive a little bit further and see whether Mealasta is any more sheltered down by the shore. These are really twisty, windy roads, they're great fun. There's someone who wasn't expecting to meet anyone coming the other way. This view. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. This is, I think, Gearrannan, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Lovely hills ahead of us here, coast behind, but you know, this is on a remote road from a remote place, and we're going a little bit further along it, going down here to Mealasta. Hoping there'll be a spot we can get out there, close to the water, give Tilly a little bit more of a run. Wow, there are some rocks. You can't see them from there, but there's clearly a reef offshore here because I can see waves breaking in the middle, dramatically in the middle of apparently otherwise empty sea. You can imagine how many people must have been wrecked off here. They didn't know the area. There's a nice waterfall. Very pretty waterfall, actually. Might take a picture of that. This is one of those. Probably don't even need to get down to the car to take my shot photos. Oh, I tell you what, first you can hear the waterfall here, but what you can't do on the camera is smell the wonderful smell of wood smoke. It may even be peat smoke that is coming from somewhere, probably the house up there, but very pleasing. Just pull forward a bit, you can perhaps see the waterfall a bit better. Islands here on the right. Lovely coastline. Again, various places you could easily stop and park if you wanted to do some wild camping. The road goes ever on and on. That's another nice shot, actually. Tell you what, it looks as if there is a beach, and there's someone walking on the beach down there. So, not a good spot to stop, but we will go and have a look at that. Because of the climate and the location, most of my photos from this trip are going to be of the form of low clouds, bits of light coming through them, layers of hills going away from you, you know, rocky coastline or occasionally sandy coastline in the foreground. I have several of those, but they're all very different, and they all have different colours of light. And wow, these are impressive rocks. Craggy or what? I'm going to go and see if we can go on the beach. Tilly, 2 beaches in one day. How's that? Another beautiful beach and another happy dog. Look at how black these rocks are. It's partly the rocks, which are pretty dark themselves, and it's partly the the seaweed was sticking to it. And despite the approaching dusk, it's a very blue-green sea behind. Quite dramatic. This is a great little cove we managed to make our way into, but you can see any minute now the tide is coming in fast. At any minute now it's just starting to flood into here. We could very easily be caught, so I think we'd better head out the way we came. Come on, Tilly, come on. Yes, it's getting deeper, isn't it? Come on, girl, come on. Yes, there you go, well done. Sort of hanging seaweed up at quite high level makes you realise the tide, I guess, probably comes up to about here. I think we'll depart before it does so. These rocks are amazing though. Black, black, black. And where they're covered in weed, they're a bit slippery. Now, we found a route in here. Oh, the sand also gets a bit, whoa, soggy here. I mean, sinky. No, what's the phrase I'm after? I suspect it may be the same down here. Let's give it a go. Yeah, I don't want to hang around on this, but it's better here. Whew. Quite a cool little cove. You wouldn't want to fall asleep there while having a picnic though. Yeah, tide's coming up fast. And this pristine sand, or it was pristine until we walked across it a moment ago, will be pristine again in a couple of hours' time. Ever renewed. A beautiful beach with a hint of treachery if you don't respect it. Was that a fun little run, Tilly? Now, the only way back to the car is over these rocks, and these are really beautiful. They're like pebbles, but on a big scale. They're about the size of my head, some of them a bit bigger, and all different colours. All beautifully rounded. Clearly the sea has been busy on these. Check the road. This major highway is actually in very good condition. As most of the roads are around here, there have been major refurbishment programs in the last 10 years or so. And so this is actually a very fine road, very few potholes or anything. Okay, Tilly, come. Back to the wee van. Well, we're on the road again. We're going to go and have a look at the Callanish standing stones, assuming they're still standing. And the reason I say that is it's blowing a gale out there. Tilly and I went out for a walk this morning, and it was, you know, it was hard work walking downhill into the wind, and it's quite likely that my ferry tomorrow morning will be cancelled from the south end, from Tarbert here on Lewis to the north end of Skye. So now I have this interesting decision again of, do I preempt that decision and book myself on the Ullapool ferry, go back to Ullapool, which is likely to work because it's a bigger ferry. It takes quite a lot to stop that one, I think. And or do I head for the south end of the island tomorrow morning, not probably knowing until 7:30 whether or not the thing's going to be run, but which will still mean me leaving here at 6:30 in the morning? Don't know. So that's something I need to decide today. It is very blowy, but it is dry, and it's actually not that cold. So that we have many things to be grateful for. And we're in beautiful surroundings. But I have to say, I'm kind of glad I've been in the Airbnb for the last 3 or 4 nights. You would have had to find if you found a sheltered spot, it would have been fine, but there are not many sheltered spots around here. Though there are lots of very beautiful spots to park a van overnight. It would be very easy doing wild camping here. Here's one, for example. Park it, just pull up in there. Probably pass a very pleasant and reasonably sheltered night. Anyway, so I'm having a great time. I've got one more night in the Airbnb. It's a lovely spot, delightful family. Obviously, I didn't want to film inside their home, but last night was actually New Year's Eve. I'm quite happy to miss out on New Year's Eve celebrations. They were going off to see friends. I had a very peaceful time doing some video and photo editing. That suited me just fine. The fact that I was able to do it in front of a log fire was very pleasing. It's going to this car passed. So yes, I had this nice log burner stove going, and but the wind was whistling around the window frames and down the chimneys and so on. I wasn't cold at all, but it was dramatic weather. You certainly knew you were in the Hebrides. Well, this morning not very much is going to be open because a lot of people in Scotland are hungover this morning. And that's also a challenge with the ferry. I'm not sure if there'll be anyone in the Callanish office if I called them today. But we shall see. Okay, let's go and have a look at the Callanish. I guess it's probably Callanish standing stones, and then we'll go and maybe see if we can find some lunch in Stornoway. It's funny, I haven't really been doing much in the way of lunches in restaurants and things while I'm here, because if you have lunch, it takes such a large proportion of the daylight that I tend to think it's better to eat after dark. But that might actually work out quite well for today. Let's see what, if any, restaurants are open in Stornoway. Around here, there are so many places I want to stop and take photos. Actually, getting out to take a photo is a pretty invigorating experience, and in particular, with winds this strong, you need to have some idea of which direction the wind's blowing, because you need to know as you open the door whether you're going to have to hold it back and so it stop it being flung open, or whether you're going to have to push really hard to be able to get out at all. So look at this completely deserted road. Clouds scudding across, not very far above it. I'm guessing the visitor centre is probably closed. Let's go have a look along here. There's some cars outside here. Probably just people walking dogs. Brightness in the sky over there. Well, I'll go and have a look, and if it doesn't look as if it's open, I might go round the other way where the other campervan was and have a look at the top of the hill. So here's the little visitor centre and cafe, which isn't open today. I wasn't expecting it to be open. Interestingly though, I think the loos are open, so that's good of them. Might make use of those later. But the stones are up this way. Not sure whether you'll be able to hear me up here because it's pretty windy. Shelter behind one of the flat trees that's facing the wind because it's quite a gale out here, and these are wonderful. Some of them are, the smallest ones are a bit shorter than me, and some of them are quite enormous. Well, the Callanish standing stones are very fine. They're not huge, but they are wonderful textures and shapes and surrounded by this fabulous scenery. Definitely well worth the stop. I met a lovely couple up there who, she was delighted. She said, "This has been on my bucket list forever. I've always wanted to come here." And she was in seventh heaven about being able to get so close to them, and there was no one else around, and it was, you know, it was like going to somewhere on your bucket list and finding it even better than you'd expected it to be. So that was very nice. Okay, we're going to head for Stornoway, but we're going to go a little bit north along the coast and just have a look at some of the scenery there, rather than taking the direct road back, which may be what I'll take to get to the ferry if we end up going back that way. Well, we've just pulled into the car park here of Gearrannan Black House village. So black houses are the old style crofters houses in the region, and some have been preserved here as holiday accommodation and a museum and all sorts of things. I don't imagine anything will be open today, but I thought it might be fun to go and look at. This is despite the strong winds and driving drizzle, but let's go and see what a Black House village looks like these days. So these were all restored, I think, around the millennium. The last crofters moved out of here, I think it said the 1970s, maybe it's more recent than that, into council houses, and at that point they realised this was a really good example of one of these villages, and it's in a lovely location, so it was preserved, restored, declared a site of historic interest. These wonderful stone houses with this beautiful thatch, and the thatch held down by ropes with stones tied to them. Now these ones have also been done up well enough that they can be holiday accommodation and things as well. So they're perhaps not entirely representative of what life would have been like at the time, but Well, that was quite fun. They are very cool houses. It's a bit strange at this time of year because you're not quite sure. There's no labelling, there's almost no signposting or anything. So this is a kind of museum village, but it's also holiday homes and a hostel, and it just wasn't quite clear to me. Some of the doors were standing ajar, and maybe they were bits of museum that I was meant to walk into and look around, but maybe they were people's houses, so I didn't want to. But so we've just seen the outside of the houses, but they are quite cool and unusual, and it was definitely worth the little detour to come and see them. Well, we're supposed to be heading for Stornoway to find some food, but as we go along the slow and wiggly road, I keep seeing things that look interesting. This is Loch Dalbeg, and it just looked like a dramatic bit of coast in this weather. So I pulled over. Let's go and have a look. Well, this is very pretty, and there are some big waves out there. Well, I'm about to leave this rather lovely spot at Uig Lodge and the keeper's cottage over there, and I am going to Stornoway now, because I thought the ferry from Tarbert to Uig, the one straight to Skye, was going to be cancelled. As it turned out, it wasn't, but I didn't discover this until it was too late for me to have left here. There are all sorts of complications which I should say. So now we're heading for Stornoway, hoping to get a ferry, but it's all booked up, so we'll probably have to be in the standby queue. But that's fine, because we have a van. If necessary, we can sleep in the queue. And hopefully we'll get a ferry either this afternoon or maybe this evening. If not, tomorrow morning. That will still be fine for us. So we'll go and see what's possible when we get there. Meanwhile, I think Tilly will be sad to leave this place, but it will be nice if we end up somewhere a bit less windy. But just taking one last look at the fabulous colours of the beach down there, which are quite amazing. Right. Okay, let's get on our way. Come on, Tilly. Come on, come on.